Well, welcome. I'm glad that you are watching this video today. My name is Deven. I'm the pastor at Summerside Community Church, and this is a conversation on mental health with Trish Pauls. And so, what I'm going to do today is just do a short introduction, Trish, and then ask a few questions and let you run with it. So, just to give some context for people at Summerside, Trish has been coming to Summerside for a number of months, along with her fiance, now husband, John. And Trish is a registered psychotherapist here in London and the founder of Helps Clinic. And that's HELLPS. Is that right, Trish?
Actually, it's double P.
Double P. Okay, so what does Helps stand for?
It stands for exactly what we do. We help people find hope through encouragement till their laughter returns and peace resides.
Right. That's fantastic. And so Trish specializes in a holistic approach to healing, which involves mental and spiritual well-being, relational issues, dealing with the unique situations that life throws at us. And Trish works with both individuals and families, and you can find out more about her at the Helps Clinic website, www.helps.ca. And Trish is a committed believer, and I am excited to have her here to offer her expertise and wisdom on this important issue about mental health during COVID-19. And so, Trish, welcome, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me today.
This is great. So, just off the front end here, let me start off with this question. Why should we be paying special attention right now to mental health? What should I maybe be even watching out for? Anything that you can speak of to that end?
Okay. So basically, the reason we need to talk about mental health right now is because during COVID-19, we've been shut away in isolation. And so our bodies are how God created us was that there's a physical component, a mental, emotional, and a spiritual component to us. And right now, we basically amputated the mental, emotional side, and in some ways the spiritual side too, because we're trying to protect the physical. Yeah. So over these few months, we're definitely starting to show strain, especially with what's happened over the last week. We're starting to see now an outward pouring out of the anger and the strain that's happening to us. I'm going to share just a little visual aid because there's a lot of symptoms that you can be watching for. So while I'm talking about it, I'm going to share it on the screen. But so on the side there, you can kind of see the physical and emotional, and then I'll move down a little bit in a minute, and I'll show you the personal well-being and the intellectual side that's happening. But as I'm talking, I just wanted to share more what it might look like to you, because reading the symptoms and what it looks like sometimes are a little bit different. So one thing that you might notice is sighing or taking deep breaths. You might find yourself just, and the reason that is your brain needs the extra oxygen to fuel right now, because there's a low level in our brains of just being conscious of we're under a pandemic. We have to be careful all the time. We have to protect ourselves all the time, worrying about all the different things going on. So then on top of that, there's the daily life issues. And so your body's trying to get more fuel inside. You might find yourself starting to cry and you don't know why. Or you might find yourself becoming very angry at things that normally don't bother you. There's also moments where you're just feeling uncomfortable or irritated. These things, for most people, are popping up here and there. They're little moments here and there. And then you basically self-regulate yourself and you come back. You might take a timeout or something like that, and then you come back. The problem comes in when it's more frequent than that. Our minds start their own spiral into some dark places, and that can turn into a mental illness such as depression or anxiety. And these things generally start when you're experiencing constant worry. Um, your mind's going over the problems. There's so much right now, like financially, um, dealing with some people have lost their jobs. Some people they don't know what returning to work will look like, or is it even safe. Then on the other side, there is right now a lot of social shaming and judging going on. So then your thoughts turn inward and go, um, start self-doubting yourself and wondering, am I supposed to be doing this right now? Or start thinking, oh no, I'm a burden to somebody else. I can't reach out to them. I can't um, have a phone call or do the things that we normally do to help ourselves through this time. And so we dig ourselves into this dark space where we don't have okay moments anymore.
It's amazing how, in a situation like this, because it's been a long time, because it's affecting a number of areas of life, the little subtle ways that we see that kind of stress bubble up. I mentioned before we started recording that yesterday, my wife and I, Heather, went to IKEA. And for some reason, just the stress of that trip, of the store, of navigating through the lines, I just found myself a little bit snippy and a little bit stressed out when normally that would not bother me at all. Um, but yeah, you see these things begin to bubble up. Absolutely. What do you think that we should be doing right now? Like, what can a person do? Let's say that I'm here and I start to notice, oh wow, Trish is really, kind of has me pegged. There's a number of things that I've noticed. What should or what could a person do, even day by day, to deal with some of these struggles?
There's quite a few things that can help. Um, One of the biggest things is getting outside ourselves, um, finding ways to be generous to other people, looking for ways to help somebody else out. Because whether it's in your house or outside your house, doing something for somebody else takes the focus off of us, stops us sitting there internalizing and rolling things through our minds. There's a lot of different things I've heard about that people are doing, a lot of great stories I've heard. People sending each other flowers or handing out gift cards to a frontline worker or baking up some yummy goods to drop off at a charitable organization for them to distribute, or even just simply writing a card to someone in a retirement home, even if you don't know anybody in there, like just dropping off for them to have. But reaching out to others starts taking the focus off ourselves, starts helping us regulate ourselves. And then the second part of it is we basically need to look to God and do what the Bible is instructing us to do in a lot of situations. One of them being in 2 Corinthians 10:5, we're instructed to captivate our thoughts. And because our thoughts are not supposed to run away from us. We're supposed to be in charge of them, not them in charge of us. So we normally do this by staying ultra busy. We just keep ourselves so busy that we don't have time to think. And if we do, it's normally like when we're laying down to sleep and then our thoughts get away from us. Right now, that's been taken away from us. So we've gone from super busy to a lot of downtime. So now it's time to retake control of that and learn new ways of controlling our thoughts. Everybody is very different, so a different thing is going to work for everybody. So just some general ideas with this is basically we need to look at it. How can we rejuvenize ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Because those are the ones that are kind of getting shafted by protecting our physical. And these can be small changes, like think about what we normally do. We normally go into work. So we have a natural transition from home to work, and our mind it has those clues around us. Now, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the little meme out there, but it's like a person facing their computer. They turn around and turn back and go, work to home, and then they're back at their computer. So there's no visual cues around us that something different is happening. So it's doing the little things, but giving ourselves those cues. like changing our clothes between a work activity and a relaxation time.
On that front, I'll just say I put on a nice, a nice shirt here that's just out of the laundry. I have pants on, but I won't tell you if they are, corduroy, if they are denim, or if they're sweatpants. I'm just not going to go there.
Well, I'm just grateful you have pants on.
Good. Good.
um, yeah, so things like that. Also, spending more time outside. We've been cooped up. It's We've been kind of ordered to stay inside. So now the sun has come out. They've opened up some parks. They've done things like that. So getting outside, soaking in the sun, even if it's just like, for me lately, it's been, I take my lunch outside because at least then I'm getting the sun, I'm getting a break in my day, something completely different. And I just get to relax out there and then return to work. The other things is maybe planning a special meal. Like especially if one of your habits before this was going out to eat a lot, then maybe once a week planning, okay, we're going to have a special meal, whether that means cooking it yourself or ordering something in. But doing something where it's like, okay, this is a little bit different, this is breaking my routine a bit, and it gives you something to look forward to, something to plan, something to get excited about. And then also connecting with people, regularly connecting with people. Set up a routine where, like, you're going to call certain people on certain days and keep that consistent. And with that is also practicing your faith and setting up a routine of daily activities that help you focus on God. So, and you can do those two things together by joining a community group
There you go.
and getting connected that way.
Yeah. And so much, Trish, about what you're offering here has to do with intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
And which is so needed in a situation like this, because in many ways we've established these patterns and rhythms over the last number of years, and it's like just recently with COVID-19 the rug has been pulled out from under us, and so everybody is learning how to adjust to the quote unquote new normal or find some new routines and rhythms. And a lot of the things that you've described, like I love the meal idea of just being intentional in some way, or being proactive with your schedule, and creating those kind of high points throughout the week, whether they be relational, whether they be spiritual, and just building those into your day. Because as I speak with people and as I evaluate my own rhythms, the tendency is just to have the days bleed together, and moment by moment things continue, and I find myself working at 7:30 and then working at 9:30 at night. Not that I work straight through, but there's not a divide. And so this intentionality, I think, would help me and help a lot of people. Absolutely.
Yeah. So along with that comes the judgment.
Mhm.
So a lot of people hearing that are going to go, "Oh no, I'm failing."
Yeah.
And this is another way that is something that we need to be diligent about is changing our attitude, because we all need some grace in our lives. We are going through a traumatic event. This is a global traumatic event. We're all doing things we don't want to be doing. We're doing them basically against our will. But I mean, we're complying, but it's still not, if we had a choice, we would not be doing this. And so it is creating this oppressive type of thing on us. And our attitudes during this time have become kind of more judgmental. There's more social shaming. There's more, how could you be doing this? And it comes around, and we even do it to ourselves. We sit there and we go, oh my goodness, I had all this spare time. I had this list of things I want to get done during social isolation. And that list sits somewhere in our house and it mocks us. And we get so shameful of that we aren't doing it. And then we go on some sort of social media and we see somebody like posting pictures of how they're redone their whole kitchen and done all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh my goodness, I'm such a failure. I can't even do it. But one of the signs and symptoms is that right now we're all struggling a little bit with um, with making decisions, with motivation, with keeping things going, which is part of the symptoms of this.
Mm.
And so allowing ourselves to have a little bit more grace in our lives, because we're all heightened right now. Our emotions are higher than they should be. And so giving ourselves permission to feel the way we're feeling, to go, okay, this is a bad day. I'm like cranky right now. I can't get things
Mm.
done. My brain's not functioning. I can't think properly right now. It's okay. I can just take a moment and feel this and let it kind of drain out of me. And then I can restart again. And I can do something. Sometimes it's the next day. Sometimes it's like just needed 15 minutes of
Mm.
getting away from a screaming child or something like that. And then getting back on track. But allowing yourself to process what is happening and feel it, so that that way we can become healthier in our
Mm.
functioning.
Yeah, that's a great word, Trish, because it's so easy, and I spoke about this recently, like it's so easy to judge people in their response to COVID-19. But you're right, it's also very easy for many people to judge themselves and then create a really unhealthy cycle. So if you're at home and you've got a half finished canoe in your living room that you were sure that you were going to knock out during COVID and it's not happened, that's okay.
Yeah.
And just allowing yourself the freedom. Because, in many ways, when I reflect on the current situation or when I hear people reflecting on it, a lot of the conversation goes into the immediate needs. So they're looking at work-life balance, keeping kids entertained, longing for social connection. But there's also a larger part of this that is fairly traumatic from a holistic standpoint. This is something that literally nobody alive has ever really faced before. And so even if you get all of your ducks in a row about the immediate needs, there's still something big happening here, and that's important to recognize.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's good. So let's talk about individuals who are fearful. And I mean really struggling with abject fear and dread. Any social outing, anybody who's walking near near them through the park, an Amazon parcel gets delivered and they are petrified to touch it without a hazmat suit. Like some people are really struggling with fear right now. And so, what would you say to somebody who is at that place?
I would say that right now we're all at a level of fear. Um, and that's one thing to remember, is that it's across the board. This weekend, seeing all the destruction down in the States, that is 100% anger coming out of fear. And so it's starting to it's starting to leak out of us with it. And there's a bunch of things, like little things that can help um, with fear. But I would say overall, what's really going to help with the situation is to remember that God tells us 365 times in the Bible, do not fear.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a direct thing, but it's also a one for every single day of our year.
Mm.
And we sometimes forget that God has this.
Mm.
And so while we're going through and looking to reach out to someone, pick up something, afraid to go get our groceries and things like that, we we need to remind ourselves God's right there with us still. He
Mm.
hasn't left us. He hasn't abandoned us. And he's right there, and he has the situation, and he has you.
Mm.
And he's going to be there, and he's going to get us through this. He saw it coming. He knew it was coming. He knows what's going to happen next. And quite often, he uses situations like this to bring about huge miracles.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that's somebody who's fearful, and that's a good word. Just encouraging people to rest in God and to trust in Him. Now, what would you say to somebody who it's maybe not so much fear as it is just really struggling, and so they're seeing these symptoms and signs of depression creeping in. of motivation significantly waning, what would you say to somebody who is at that place where this is really starting to bother them in some pretty serious ways?
Yes. So if you're finding yourself going from a moment to now it's a whole day or a whole couple days or even a week of where it's either the anxiety or a very low mood, your thoughts are just going to a dark place. You're not, you're seeing that's impairing functioning, is basically where you're at. At that point, you really should reach out to a registered healthcare provider and and get in to get some help. We're all here to help. Um, we're able to individualize what's going on with you and find out specific things that will help you get back on track and get feeling like yourself again.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I completely affirm that and echo that as well. That there's no point in suffering alone, and oftentimes it requires somebody who's trained and who's equipped to help you navigate through that. And so um, that's a fantastic word. Now, Trish, is there anything else that you'd like to add at this point?
Um, no, I think that we've covered it. It is such a large topic. Like it's not everybody's going to see the same things during this time, and so a lot of it might be that somebody might have questions to ask
Hmm,
later.
great. So yeah, and I think that's the tension. And the purpose of this video was not to address every situation and fix everybody, obviously. The purpose of this is just to begin a conversation, to navigate and talk through it a little bit via video, because everybody's struggle, everybody's background, everybody's brain, we're all so unique. Our context, our relationships, our relational support, it's so unique that it's difficult, I know, to just, you know, slap a one size fits all type fix in a situation such as this. But one of the unique opportunities that we have as part of this video is that Trish has generously made herself available to answer any questions that you may have on this topic. And what we're going to do is we will put together a second video where I will just ask the questions that we receive, and then Trish will respond as she is able. Again, if you feel like you're at that place um, where help is required, reach out to the church office and we can recommend a number of therapists or counselors. Check out Trish's website. That's www.helps.ca. But I'll leave and I'll conclude with this. If you have a question that you would like to submit, either for you or for a loved one, you can send that in to questions@summersidechurch.ca. Nice and simple. If you have questions that you would like Trish to address, send them in, submit them to questions@summersidechurch.ca. Or alternatively, you can reach out to us on Facebook and leave us a private message, and we will gather those up and put together a second video. So again, that's questions@summersidechurch.ca. Thank you for watching. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to conclude in a word of prayer for you, for our people, and also Trish, for you as well as you continue on working with your clients. And so let me end with this. Father, we thank you for this conversation, and I thank you for the people of Summerside, for those who are doing well. We rejoice in that. And for those who are struggling, God, we trust that you are working even in the difficult situations. I thank you for Trish, for her wisdom, for her care, for her heart for people who are struggling. I pray, God, that in some form or fashion, this little video will be used to begin a conversation, to open people's hearts, to perhaps inviting someone to walk beside them through their difficulty. God, I pray for the people of Summerside and obviously for all of those who are walking through this difficult season. Would you work and move in such a way that we come out stronger on the other side? Would you work and move in such a way that people are led to understand and to see afresh who you are, God, and will you use it to bring glory to your name. We trust that that is so, and we thank you for this time, God. I pray your blessing over Trish, over the Helps Clinic, over her and John. We thank you for this time, and we ask all of this in your name. Amen. Awesome. Thank you so much, Trish, for doing this. I look forward to doing this again when we receive some questions. So take care and enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too.